You ever have those days or weeks where you're locked in, right? Nothing can take you off of your stride. But then you have those days where you just completely fall off schedule. See, what may look like a discipline problem at first hand can be something completely different underneath the surface. You see, you don't have a discipline problem. What you have is a version of yourself that you cannot quite hold on to consistently. Because if you notice, I'm sure you notice, that you are not the same person every single day. So the question then becomes, where are all these different versions of yourself actually coming from? Because you're correct, they're not random. Those versions of yourself are not random. Yeah, I like blue better, not gonna lie. Those different versions of yourself are patterns, states, and identities that you shift in and out of. So that locked in version of yourself, that's very real, as well as fuck. But so is the version of yourself that procrastinates. So is the version of yourself that puts things off and then you fall off a schedule. And the interesting thing is, you've likely seen these versions of yourself before. So every time you think or visualize about a life that you want or goals that you want to reach, understand that you are getting a glimpse of the individual that operates how you need to operate to get such a goal. So in other words, you are getting a glimpse of the individual that has actually achieved that goal. So if different versions of yourself actually are real, what determines which one shows up? Okay. The thing that determines which version of you shows up is the internal state that you operate from. So, what is that? That's your emotions. And that is your thoughts. Now, your emotions and your thoughts are combined within your internal state, which then, those emotions and those thoughts, they respond to the signal that your body is producing and reacting to in the external world. So, understand that the different versions of yourself is kind of like Spider-Man in a sense. It's kind of like Spider-Man and the multiverse and everything like that. And you know how Spider-Man has different versions of Spider-Man. Now, what can we identify about all of those Spider-Mans? That they all have one core identity. However, what do they have different? They have different mindsets. They have different behaviors. Which then results into different realities. And it's the same thing with you. See, there's not just one version of you. There's multiple. And if you're not careful, you will unconsciously sabotage by pulling yourself back into the familiar state. Now, if all of these versions of yourself actually exist, what determines which one shows up? Now, see, the fact that your emotions and your thoughts are reacting from the signals that your body is producing and reacting to in the external world. It's kind of like a radio, right? How a radio has different frequencies, and each frequency gives off a different output. I'm sure we all know, even if we don't listen to the damn radio no more, we know that each channel is going to give us a different output, okay? How does that correlate with you? See, within the radio, if you want to listen to a different song, you're not going to sit there and think about listening to a new song. You're going to put the action forth of changing the signal so then you can hear something different, right? So in regards to you, if you want to have a different reality or you want to have different outcomes from your reality, you have to first shift the internal state, and then you will have a different external, okay? So some good examples are an individual who, let's say, what's a good one? Let's say for trading in a sense, right? Let's do trading. Day trading. See, this individual is constantly blowing his accounts, right? And this individual is not really back tested, not using FX replay, doesn't feel like it's compatible with him, and he feels like it's a waste of time. And with this internal state of thinking that it's a waste of time, he does not see the positivity in FX replay of how it allows you to then see past markets, to then refine your strategy into better ways, seeing what rules you can implement, seeing what days you shouldn't trade. But an individual who sees FX replay as beneficial, that individual may be closer to getting payouts because, of course, they use FX replay to then use and refine its strategy, or refine its rules, refine days that you shouldn't trade, which then these thoughts and emotions of it being beneficial will then put them into an opportunity. Because we are electromagnetic, it allows them to then be tied to the signals of the world, which then gives them a better opportunity of getting a payout. And this also goes into dating as well. With dating, an individual may be they keep getting cheated on, right? So this individual has a mindset that all men cheat, or all women cheat. You know, it's gonna go either way. So this internal state gives them the external behaviors of then being emotionally unavailable. So then, compounding with that, they push individuals away. And let's say they don't push individuals away, and they actually give individuals a chance, they're likely, since they are, of course, sending these signals to the world that all men cheat, they are likely to actually bring forth the individual that may cheat on them. Because understand that your subconscious is creating your reality, and your subconscious does not care about your goals or your desires. It cares about being safe, and being safe is whatever is familiar. So even if what you are familiar with is killing you, even if what you're familiar with is pulling you back away from your goals, your subconscious does not give a fuck. You need to figure out how to then break these patterns of your emotions and your thoughts so then you can move forward and then have a better reality. Now, how exactly do we do that? How do we do that? See, when it comes to your emotions and your thoughts, they are first going to your conscious mind, which then goes into your subconscious. And if it can get through your subconscious, it begins to show up in your reality, which could be your behaviors, your actions, or is what you attracted to you. Get what I'm saying? So, how do we change that? See, your subconscious, a lot of the things that come into your subconscious, where it comes into men cheating on you, blowing accounts to where you start hesitating on your trades, those are all, in a sense, traumatic experiences, because they shape you so, the emotional charge of that traumatic experience has shaped you so much that your subconscious has created an emotional conviction about it. Now, your subconscious is where your beliefs stand, your habitual habits, and your emotional convictions. Okay? So, everything that can be repeated constantly can go into your subconscious mind. Anything that can cause an emotional charge to where it can be stuck into your internal is then engraved into your subconscious mind. So, some great ways of changing up your internal conviction about things to where you can then get a different reality and then produce different behaviors are affirmations, right? And I've used these things quite literally. This is not the only example, but I've used these examples for clients of my own, to where I had a client that I finished up with about a 5 to 7 week program framework, to where he believed that to blow up on social media was purely luck. Now, of course, as we know, it has a little bit of luck, but he had a side of him where he knew that all it really took was consistency and refinement. Now, a little bit of luck part, I asked him, was he a lucky individual? He did not say he was a lucky individual, which, understanding of that, you are contradicting your own beliefs, because you believe to blow up on social media you have to be lucky. But if you do not believe you are a lucky person, how are you going to blow up on social media? Understand that. You are going to always constantly pull yourself back once you start to get that stride going, because you don't even feel like it's safe to be there. And your subconscious, once it feels like it's not safe, it's going to bring you back into a familiar state of either procrastination. It's going to bring you back into a familiar state of holding things back, putting things back on the back burner. You feel what I'm saying? So, affirmations. Visualizations. See, a good way of manifestation, I don't really teach manifestation, I really focus on teaching you alignment. So when it comes to visualizations, a lot of the time you have to understand that your subconscious mind does not understand the difference between real or imagination. So once you start doing your visualizations, as long as you can create a big enough and large enough emotional charge for this visualization, you will then reprogram your subconscious mind, or the thought that you're having about this particular thing. So, some good ways of visualizations that I explained to my past client was visualizing that someone is embracing you with much love, right, for you accomplishing a goal that you want to accomplish. So, let's say you have a girlfriend. And of course you want these type of interactions, these visualizations of these interactions to be as authentic as possible, so then you understand and your brain can actually engage into it. So I gave him an example of having your girl jump into your arms and congratulating you on 10K followers, congratulating you on a new car, such and such. Okay? So that's a great way, because once you put your heart into it, because your heart has a much bigger emotional charge than your brain, right? And your emotions are charged into your heart. So once it goes to the heart, it goes to your subconscious mind, and then it reprograms your entire reality. Because once your internal state, which is your subconscious, because that is your reality creator, once that changes, it then changes your perception. Now perception then dictates your behavior, and that behavior dictates a reality in the sense of your behaviors. Okay. So, all these different versions of yourself. That's how you basically create your identity that you want to get to your get to your specific reality by having a particular identity. Now, let's get real here. Let's get overly real. You may now know all of this shit. You may now know all of this. You may now know. You may leave these videos thinking like, oh yeah, I'm about to go kick the world's ass, right? It is that simple, but it's not that simple. See, you are going to go through setbacks. You are going to go through the mud. You're going to go through the mud. And unfortunately, that's how it is. You're going to always have challenges and problems. Because let's say you want to be a motherfucking, let's say you just want to be a LeBron James, right? You want to be the greatest basketball star in the world. You are going to have to strive to be that. And you have to go through uncomfortable moments. You have to train on days when you don't want to train. You have to do interviews after a big loss in a championship and have yourself composed. These are things that you don't want to do, but they take you out of your familiar state because you are now elevating your life. Okay, so sometimes when you start to internally change, your external will change even more because you are now reorganizing your external reality from the internal. So things may, I'm not gonna say this will happen, but things may leave your life. You may leave relationships. You may have financial troubles, but this is all a clearing space, organizing space for your new reality to then engage into. But you must be able to hold this internal state long enough. You must be able to neutralize your identity and see above and look at your emotions and understand that these are the same thing. These are the same thing, but a different degree of the same thing. I can be angry or I can be happy. I can be angry or I can be happy. When I lose my job, I can be angry that I lost my job. I've been trying to make a business though. I can be happy that I now have the time to actually put forth into this business. I can be happy that now I have the time to where I can actually put 100% and see what I can really do in this life. So, why are you so inconsistent? Because you have not shifted your internal state into an individual who their consistency is not conditional. It's simply who they are. Stand up.